Okay, it looks like it's live. So this is Grace Power, and I am going to be shaping my eyebrows today using the My Gold Sugar, and the one that I'm using right now is called Firm. That's the firmest one that we have at the time. And it looks like this. I have a couple sticks in here that I'm getting ready to use. So I'm actually going to use the popsicle stick for the brows. They do make even tinier sticks if you really want to have a little more control. They do make tinier sticks that you can get at like a Sally's Beauty supply for shaping. And they work pretty good with the sugar as long as it's melted down, so that otherwise they might break because they're pretty tiny, and if the sugar is too firm, as you're like trying to get it out, they could break. So anyways, I have the popsicle sticks, and so I'm just going to start in the middle. That's usually the easiest place to start. And I'm already like looking at how much sugar I have and going, you know, this might be a little more sugar than what I need. So we'll see how it goes. I might have to reduce the amount of sugar here, but okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to go to this side. I'm going to go ahead and do underneath first today. Feeling brave. My brows have been growing in for quite some time, and I wanted to put my makeup on today, and I was like, you know what? My brows just really need to be cleaned up so that my makeup looks good. Okay. So when you're pulling it off, you got to use quite a bit of force, especially if you have brows like mine that are really thick and bristly, which most people, well, not most people, but a lot of people I've done their brows for have pretty coarse hairs on their brows. And when you do, you got to just really like pull your stick with some force so that it comes out. All right. So here I'm going to pull. All right. So it's not perfect underneath yet, but I'm going to go ahead and get the top part. When you're doing sugaring, you want to do your best to go against the hair and pull with the hair. That's going to get you the best result. And it is the opposite of waxing if you're used to waxing. You can use sugar, you can get the hair off going the same way as wax, but there's just a little more chance of breakage, of the hair just breaking off instead of coming out by the root. And also you could get a little more irritation that way, maybe like some ingrown hairs or things like that. So the more you can go against the hair so that you're pulling with the hair with sugaring, I think the better results you'll have. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. So now this sugar is just a little bit thicker than that I want to use. I mean, just a little more sugar than I want to use to really like get the fine tuning of the shape. So I'm just going to grab a fresh stick and just kind of get like this much, just a tiny little piece. Just about that much. And that way I have a little more control of it on these while I'm shaping kind of these tinier areas here. So one thing that's nice with sugar compared to wax is if some of your hairs from up here are kind of touching the sugar, they're not going to get pulled out with the sugar like they might with wax, just because the sugar actually only pulls out the hair that it's touching the skin underneath of. If that makes, I don't know if I said that exactly right, but it has to touch the skin underneath the hair that it's going to pull out. So if it's just kind of barely touching some other hairs that aren't it's not touching down to the root of that hair where the skin is, so then it's not going to pull those hairs. And it's kind of hard to get used to at first because you like see the hair touching the sugar and you think it's going to pull it, and then you're like, oh, it didn't pull it. Okay, so now at this point I'm pretty happy with the shape. I'm just kind of going through and fine-tuning. Oh, in fact, I should trim my brows. Yeah, I think before I go any further, I'm just going to do a little trim of my brows. So, to do that, I'm just going to kind of scruff them up this way, and then just trim any of those long ones that are hanging out there. Another scruff. Okay, and then sometimes I like try to comb them down a little bit and get some of those ones underneath. I find that just doing a little trim makes it easier to shape them, and also helps hold your shape longer so that they look more groomed even while the hairs are growing in, but it just looks a little nicer. Okay, so back to my little ball here. Okay, so now it's just kind of these fine ones. I'm actually going to go against what I was talking about before. Once I get into like this fine tuning of shapes, a lot of times I will go with the hair and pull against, just because the hair lays that way and it's easier to get the shape. And then I'll do the same up here. So now this I changed back to the sugary method, going against the hair and then pulling with the hair growth. It's a little easier on the top. Trying to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, let me get that off before I pull out more than I want to there. And if you're kind of nervous about doing your brows, you can do like tiny little sections at a time too, rather than doing like a whole big chunk. And sometimes that gives you a little more sense of control, and you're not gonna mess it up. So now I'm just kind of getting like there's just these few random ones under here, so you just kind of lightly put the sugar on. You don't have to use a lot of pressure. Okay, I'm getting closer. Okay, let me just do another just quick cleanup in here in case any missed ones. And you can see I'm like lifting my brows just to tighten that skin. If your sugar's not coming off, sometimes it could be that you're not holding the skin really tight, so just that's just a little clue to tighten the skin if you're having trouble. And this is where, you know, getting these like 1 or 2 little hairs, if I was waxing, you can't go over the skin this much with wax because it'll just, it'll really like be sore, and it could even lift the skin up where you'd have a scab or kind of a shiny little spot where the skin was lifted. But with sugar, it is so much less aggressive on the skin that you can actually go over to get those little fine ones, or I mean those little mist ones. Where with waxing you'd usually have to grab out the tweezers, and then if you've ever been in a situation like I have many times, I've accidentally tweezed my skin while I was trying to get the little hair out, and then I had like a little scab from where I accidentally squeezed the skin a little bit too much. Okay, so just for my own comfort, I'm going to look really close here, and then I'm going to kind of look at a distance. So they're not, you know, with brows, you probably heard they're sisters, not twins. So they don't need to be exactly the same on either side, but I'm just making sure that they're like pretty close to the same, and they look good to me. So that is all I'm going to do today for this video, and I hope that it helps you. If you are interested, I should say, in the My Gold Sugar, especially the firm for doing brows, you can go to mygoldsugar.com and purchase it from there. We also sell the sugar on Amazon and eBay and Etsy. So those are some other places that you could order it as well. And this is Grace Power signing off. All right, have a great day. Bye.